Ahora pues es el momento en que vamos, los directores y directoras de los museos que han hablado esta mañana, un momento muy interesante en que las perspectivas no solamente locales, sino nacionales, de tamaño, de momento en que se plantean las reformas, van a dialogar. Que, bueno, un punto en común es que todos y todas están en procesos de reforma en un mundo cambiante, con retos comunes, aunque con medios muy distintos. I open the tour and who want to begin to speak? Isabel.
Voy a romper el hielo. ¿Sí? ¿Se escucha bien?
Not so good.
¿Ahora sí? Ahora sí. Bueno, para romper un poco el hielo, Nancy, muchas gracias por la coordinación de la mesa y estas 6 estupendas ponencias, estas presentaciones tan fantásticas, tan distintas también, de museos tan diferentes, porque un poco ese era el objetivo, ¿no? Mostrar estas presentaciones en el estado actual, ¿no?, de la historia de cada uno de estos museos, de titularidades distintas, con gestiones muy diferentes, sistemas de gestión administrativa muy diferentes, anclados a una escala territorial también distinta. Entonces, esta diversidad es interesantísima, pero dentro de esta diversidad sí que yo creo que hemos encontrado un pequeño hilo conductor. Yo creo que casi todos lo habéis mencionado, y es el concepto de identidad, en cada una de las presentaciones. Entonces, yo tengo solamente dos comentarios. Uno va en este sentido, y por afinidad con el Museo Arqueológico Nacional, por esa vocación y por esa titularidad y ese sistema de gestión, me interesaba vuestros comentarios, y especialmente el del Museo de Saint-Germain-en-Laye y de Atenas, ¿no?, el concepto de un Museo Arqueológico Nacional y su identidad en esta coyuntura histórica y política en el 2024. Y luego, por otra parte, en relación a un sistema muy distinto de gestión, Samantha, en el caso del Museo Egipcio de Turín, quería preguntarte, ¿ese sistema de gestión privada os proporciona una autonomía total, con sus luces y con sus sombras? Y, por otra parte, esos 30 años son como una prueba piloto. ¿Puede revertirse la situación después de esos 30 años? ¿Qué sucedería? ¿Qué puede suceder de esos 30 años, después de esos 30 años? Muchas gracias.
La cuestión de la identidad.
Okay, thank you, Isabel. Actually, this is I'm an archaeologist, a field archaeologist, professional the 10 past years of museums. So perhaps I'm not the most adequate to answer to your question about the identity. Still, I strongly believe, and as I have said already to my talk, this is a real challenge for us. Because like all the representatives here from the Mediterranean region, we have, let's say, our own very old, prominent cultures and identities. I think that the Greeks especially are haunted by their past, and it is a dream. Even for us Greeks, most Greeks say, okay, our past was fabulous, was fabulous. We were the best of the best, and how we can today be once again the best in the world. So, but these are the so-called nationalistic, anthrocentric approaches. We will try, or I will try, together with my colleagues, because there are a lot of talks and of conflicts trying to construct the new identity of the National Archaeological Museum of Greece. The tradition of this museum, for example, divided in collections. There are some colleagues, they say, okay, we'll keep on with the collections. There are others, included me, that I say we change everything, and we should have a more neutral approach to our past, to show the advantages and the disadvantages. So we haven't yet reached the final goal. I hope that if we meet all us together next year, which will be another very big challenge, because your initiation was very, very good. So I can give you which will be the identity of our museum and of Greece's National Archaeological Museum in about 1 year time. Thank you.
For us, it was a bit different, actually. It's coming alongside with several approaches during the last decade. We have just published 6 weeks ago a long-awaited publication for former encounters, scientific encounters about national identities. Marc-Antoine is a part of this book too. Because this museum was facing the question of its own history regarding the nationalism in France. It's a fact. It has become a tool during the Third Republic, so late 19th century and beginning of the 20th century, to develop the idea of a nation in France centralized around Paris. So this was already a first question. Can we express that, and how can we express this part of its history too? The second aspect is the fact that in 150 years, you have a lot of archaeological museums developed directly on sites in France. It was not the case at the birth of the museum. So the question was also finally, is it useful to have a national museum today, as we are already presenting a lot of archaeological artifacts directly on site, and we have seen that with Arles. And at the same time, you had reclaim coming from local regions, local museums to keep back some items too. So this was the second point. The third one was finally, okay, we are in a royal castle and we have a multiple layer of identities. Which one should be preserved? Which one should be removed? And finally, by putting all these elements together, we decided that we had an identity defined by this history of archaeology, and that we should express that too. This history of the methods, methodology, the actors, and to put finally on stage what is archaeology. So we have decided to use that to unify all these items under the archaeology methodology. This was really the scope of our scientific program. No, the most difficult part is definitively to embody it into the upcoming galleries.
So, about autonomy. We reached out to a fully autonomy only in 2015 with the reopening of the new museum. Before that, we were autonomy, we reached out to maximum 83% of expenses by ourselves. The other part was covered by our stakeholders. Not the Ministry of Culture. Since we were founded, the situation was that the Ministry of Culture was giving us the collection and no money. The other stakeholders were giving us a 5 years long fund of 3 million to survive in 5 years. We knew that the collection was very interesting and that the public in general is interested in our collection, in ancient Egypt collection. So we were good in balancing our numbers, having the foundation growing under an economical point of view. If someone gives you money, decides for you, always. The politic dynamics has put on us a pressure in the very first 10 years of our foundation. In 2015, when we reached out, surprisingly, our 100% autonomy, and we were able to put apart almost 2 million euros, then things changed, because we were showing up the fact that we were able to manage such a big museum, first. Second, we started to say some no to the board of directors that wanted to decide something since they were putting in money. Of course, walking on your own legs means risking, deciding not to do a project, considering the fact that you might need more budget to do everything that you have in mind and you can't. But on the other hand is keeping alive the situation also with the staff. We are all working very responsibly with the budget that we give to each department. And we have this cultural firm attitude all over our HR plan. The shadows are, for example, COVID, when the museum has closed down totally, and we were closed for 6 months, but even when open, the public wouldn't come as in important numbers. We had a problem of incoming, and we have been using our financial depot, the one that we have been putting aside in the former years, and then the government at the very end of 2020 decided to give money to all the Italian museum, to us too. When we got that money, we put it aside again, and this is how we are paying nowadays 24 million project for our birthday. It's tough, for sure. Sometimes we feel like we don't have wings to fly over the strategic plan of development of our director, but this is the way we are used to work till 2034. And then I wish I could know what is going to happen, but we don't know yet. Actually, in Italy, like us, we have only 3 foundations. And also they have an expiring date. So we'll see. Who knows? I have a question. Antonio, are you sure you can do all those works only with 32 million euros budget? Oh, okay.
I must I must stay with the plan. I cannot leave the plan.
Perhaps the question of identity is something different with the Museum of Arles, so perhaps it's interesting to listen to you.
Yes, it is something completely different because Arles is a very cosmopolitan city, it's very diverse, so we're really talking about identities. But the fact that we really do this sort of participative archaeology and that people from the very beginning are with us on the sites, in the restoration, they sort of adopt these objects and they're part of the overall experience. And so, regardless of whether they were from Arles from 20 generations ago, they are from Arles today and this is their heritage. So this process actually really helps in building a common identity. And archaeology here is quite useful in that process for us.
The public?
Hola, buenos días. Yo quería preguntarle algo a Rosemary en relación con el Museo de Saint-Germain, que he visitado varias veces, y la última vez tuve la oportunidad de hacerlo con Laurent Olivier, y nos estuvo mostrando a un pequeño grupo de un congreso las salas que están cerradas para su visita, pero que prácticamente están congeladas en el tiempo, porque son de finales del siglo XIX, exactamente con las mismas vitrinas, con los mismos tejidos, incluso con las etiquetas escritas a mano. El problema que se me ocurre es cómo ser fiel a la historia de ese museo y al mismo tiempo comunicar y hacer partícipe de esa realidad. En otras palabras, ¿cómo podéis capturar el alma de la historia del museo para llevarlo al siglo XXI sin traicionar de alguna manera esos orígenes?
Thanks a lot for your question. Actually, we have several rooms like this. You have seen the Piet room, but we have other rooms dedicated to single collectors. When I was speaking about the history of collection and the history of archaeology, the idea is completely to turn this last floor, because we are speaking about the fourth floor of the museum, dedicated to this theme. And like this, we can include as well the collectors, the obligations related to the collectors, and the way finally we could display archaeology from the origins up to today. Because we have not exactly, for the full floor is about 2,000 meters squares. So we have quite enough space, and we have not the same obligation in all the galleries. We are lucky because this period room about archaeology are all located in only one height, which is quite great. But the question is the same about, let's say, the Malraux showcases. The idea is also to preserve some of them directly in the first floor, because, of course, this was also a part of the aesthetic for this transformation. And for me, it's really important to preserve this also multi-scale representation of archaeology.
Hello. So, well, thank you all for your talks there. It was fantastic. Several of you mentioned the museum outside the museum, so different types of projects whereby you actually take your activity beyond the walls, even like onto a river, which was a very interesting thing to do. And I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about the challenges of that. In particular, I'm thinking about how, when you take, but the risk of losing the museum's identity once you're not in the museum, and how you make sure that everything that you do outside still represents you as an institution, and yeah, what are the main challenges of that, and how you've been dealing with them?
En nuestro caso, nosotros teníamos evaluado muy bien y teníamos hecho una prospección y mucha gente, incluso en este museo, tenía montado muchas exposiciones, no solamente aquí, mas otras que se presentaron en el exterior. Me recuerdo de ter visto en Portugal Rostros de Roma, que era una exposición que partía de aquí y Encrucijada de Civilizaciones y otras. O sea, claro que no hay duda que tener exposiciones, tener un programa fuera, mantener el diálogo con el público, mantener el contacto con las piezas, con los discursos, ensayar discursos nuevos, es muy importante, porque nosotros estamos viviendo numa época em que, com este tipo de sociedade, isto é o meu ponto de vista personal, é muito complicado explicares que vais cerrar um museu durante 15 anos, 20 anos, ainda que tienes que ter esse tempo para hacer esses projetos, e ainda que o plano financeiro não permita, claro, esse tipo de planeamento inicial. Tu tienes que encontrar alternativas, tienes que encontrar complementos para mantener o diálogo com o público, para aliviar a pressão, aquilo que é uma decisão. Qual é a decisão quando cerras um Museu Nacional? Isto é o meu ponto de vista. Por um lado, me quedei muito contento, que é uma aspiração de imensas gerações de diretores, equipos, etc., neste momento, a consequência de uma pandemia seja uma inversão. Me quedei contente como cidadão europeu e como diretor do museu, trabalhador do museu, que tem uma capacidade financeira única para hacê-lo. Mas quando tu vais hacê-lo, tu vais obliterar, tu vais quitar a fruição pública desse museu e dessa coleção. Não é solamente a questão do acesso às coleções para as teses doutorais, para as teses estas ou aquelas. Não estou falando solamente disso. Estou falando de cerrar o acesso a estes discursos, a estes bienes que são de um país, que são de um conjunto de comunidades. E, em nosso caso, que é um museu nacional, mesmo nacional. Porque 3.600 afiamentos arqueológicos de todo o país. Os melhores, em alguns casos. Os melhores. Porque hasta a Revolução de 74, que agora celebramos 50 anos, dos esclavos, o museu era também a casa madre de gestão da Arqueología Nacional. Portanto, o diretor tinha a capacidade para decidir que afiamentos cavava o museu. Portanto, os melhores hasta 74, hasta 70, lo que tienen as peças mais icónicas, os melhores conjuntos, vêm para o museu. Como hacê-lo no ano de 24? De uma forma habilidosa, lúcida. Temos que fazer a obra? Sim. Temos outra oportunidade? Não. Porque, claro, nenhuma pessoa, mi colega, antecessor Luís Raposo, me ha dicho uma vez que sempre imaginou a obra do museu com pressupostos anuais em orçamento geral do Estado. Isso não é possível para uma obra destas. Tu necessitas de um conjunto de dinheiro tão grande para lançar estes projetos todos que é absolutamente necessário fazê-lo. Como fazê-lo? Mantendo numa sociedade contemporânea como a de nós outros, em que estamos falando aqui, temos em nossos Facebooks o que estamos fazendo aqui, e nos Facebooks de nossas instituições, em uma comunicação permanente, manter contacto com a sociedade e manter o contacto com a realidade que te cerca, com os outros, de todas as maneiras possíveis. Eu não comentei isto. Nós criamos uma ideia de dois colegas, Felipe e Lúcia, criamos, a partir do conceito de caderno de campo em arqueologia, criamos um conceito de caderno de campo, como um arqueólogo. Então, vamos dando as notícias todas de todas as operações, contratações, alquilar isto, alquilar aquilo, contratar e concursar e tudo. É a única forma, com o programa cultural, com as parcerias como a Cité de Alicante ou esta da Fundação EDP ou outras que temos no país. Agora estamos preparando uma com China, eventualmente, com a universidade, a selo desta forma, comunicando permanentemente. Porque cada dia que passa, é um dia em que, claro, perguntas como esta são as perguntas que me hacen muitas vezes e que tenho que dar respostas muito curtas, muito sencillas, muito exatas. Porque, claro, eu trabalho com um plano europeu. E como eu trabalho com um plano europeu e outros trabalham com este mesmo plano, com este calendário, temos que ir balanceando isto tudo. Agora, manter o contacto com o público, a mim me parece fundamental. Estas visitas que mostrei com as universidades, com os professores e com os alunos, para mim, por exemplo, são absolutamente essenciais, porque este grupo que está haciendo sua licenciatura, sua tese de máster e, eventualmente, um doutoramento, poderá não ter acesso às coleções durante um período largo. Porque nós ainda temos que fazer a obra, trasladar tudo, montar a museografia nova e, então, abrir. Portanto, é muito complicado. Não creio que exista uma decisão única. Não creio que exista uma única forma de fazê-lo. Mas vamos tentando fazê-lo desta forma. Apenas um dado importante. Eu vou repetir esta conferência agora, sábado, em el museu, com uma foto a dizer que Isabel Izquierdo me ha invitado para falar. E vamos abrir o museu, vamos abrir o edifício. Para quê? Porque muita gente pergunta o que estamos fazendo. O que estamos fazendo dentro daquele edifício? Estamos renovando o museu e não é possível fazê-lo em menos tempo? Portanto, é um equilíbrio que temos sempre que gestionar diariamente.
Pablo, I believe that losing identity, going out, is not a problem at all. The museum speaks different languages. We are managing a collection that is not Italian for sure in terms of identity. We are defining extraterritorial collection. And the point is that each one of us doesn't know exactly each visitor what takes home with him after visiting the museum or after participating of any kind of cultural events or agenda. I make you an example. Before COVID, we wanted to reach out to the people in jail, prisoners in Torino's jail. And for sure they couldn't come out. So we went in, but we couldn't bring items. We weren't allowed to bring items. So we have brought stories, we have brought pictures, we have brought people working for our museum, sharing everyday life inside a museum, storytelling, pictures and personal feelings about our collection. The result was that they have built handicraft pieces of our collection so well that we have made a temporary exhibition with the title Liberi di imparare, free to learn. So, yes, the museum goes out sometimes with our collection, but with people that brings out the museum itself in its essence, in its how.
May I speak also? Trying to answer your question. First of all, I think that we all here share the same European or international identity. And this is based on the official meaning, the latest meaning of what the museum is, according to the latest ICOM definition, August 2022, I think. So from what I've heard here, and we will hear next, it is beyond any doubt that we all share a common identity that derives from this definition by ICOM. At least I find this in this period of time that is the most adequate definition of what a museum, not only an archaeological museum, is today. So, and this is a good start point for all of us here. Concerning if I understood well your question, Pablo, concern losing the identity by taking the opportunity to have temporary exhibitions of our own all around the world. So, for example, the National Archaeological Museum, the past 15 years, made many imposing exhibitions from Australia to China, from US to the whole of Europe, but mostly in China, Japan, Australia and US. And this is, okay, what a better publicity for our civilization. And once more, at least once per month, artifacts from our collection travel all around the world as loans, temporary loans, on the occasion of temporary exhibitions that have to do with antiquities all over Europe, all over the world. And this is also a medium to publicize our museum. So I really don't think that we lose our identity. Going abroad or having social media or everything else. The crucial points are somewhere else, but we can discuss this later on. Thank you.
Maybe I just can complete on that point, but I fully agree on what you have said. I would say even that going outside is reinforcing our identity, because like this you can bring your collection, you can bring, as I told, the value, you can bring also cultural aspects, which are really important for people and for building their own future for that. So for me, it's, in the contrary, really something to do.